Hey, welcome back to World Entertainment and our non-spoiler review of episode 6 of Reacher. Yes, we're not waiting until Sunday or Monday to get this out, because I remembered it was on. So, obviously, this picks up from last week, where that assassin blew up in the building. They're speculating what kind of device was used. O'Donnell's response, well, I should say Dixon and Neely are trying to figure out, what kind of device was used. And as O'Donnell says, who cares what kind of device was used? I'm more interested in who planted it. So there's no other bodies in that place. They're still looking for the woman. I think her name is Margot. It's the woman who Neely and Dixon met at New Age. The one who didn't seem to be involved, but you were thinking, is she? While they're talking with Russo, that's the name of the cop, he gets a phone call. He needs to go and see someone, but he tells them where your woman, I think it's Margot, or something like Margot, that her car was found at a little convenience store type of area. And he tells them, just don't leave any dead bodies this time. So they go off there. He goes off where he's going. And we only get one scene in this episode with the British assassin dude, who seems to be the one buying the missiles. He comes out of a public restroom and there's a cop standing over by his car looking in. And he's saying, is there a problem? He tells him there's a tag hanging on his mirror that isn't permitted in the area he's in. And he's like, oh, it's a rental. They put it there, and me being not from these shores, I didn't understand your laws. So he takes it off and just asks, can we get away without a ticket? She's like, I'll just give you a caution. He thinks, fine, that's great. Until she takes out the pad thing. He's like, I thought you said no ticket. And she's like, oh yeah, I still have to write it up. So he kills her. He stabs her because he has to give her the doctor's ID who he killed last week. And as she's lying dead, you hear on her radio it's coming back to that guy was involved in a homicide. That's the only scene we get with him in this entire episode. Again, he's the only character they're not flushing out in this show, and I don't know why they're not doing it. It's a bit strange that he seems to be a major player of the show and yet he's barely in it. It's very strange what they're doing with that character. They go to the car, they find the car, it's covered in parking tickets, covered. So they're thinking, right, obviously she was in a hurry, she abandoned the car and got the hell out of Dodge. And the way they're looking at it is that she's the one who gave them the information to go to the bar place where the bikers jumped them. So they think she set them up to get jumped by and killed by the biker gang. So Reacher's kind of, well, if she's in that much of a rush, she'd have parked, but she'd have probably used the restroom and gotten something to eat. And there's a little shop there, a little convenience store. And they go in, they're looking at the security footage, and Neely notices that the girl, the daughter, is playing a Nintendo Switch. And they're like, if we could figure out what game she's playing, we could track her, basically, through online and blah, blah, blah. So they go to the house, your woman's house, to set up looking at the games she's playing and trying to figure out and waiting for her to come online so they could track her. While that happens, Reacher goes for a sleep. He doesn't exactly get it because Dixon follows him and a bit of hanky-panky. You don't see anything. But he has a flashback to the drug case when they were the original team set up by the military. And that case went to shit, basically, because the guy who was over that whole operation, not that actual operation, but the operations around the base, that the drugs were coming in under the nose off, was going for promotion in Vietnam, I think he said. And it would look bad. It would be the only blemish on his career. So they were told, you're basically going to write up as a misdemeanor. all 4 military people that were caught with it will get honorable discharges. And Reacher's not having, and then Reacher's thinking, and says, like, the last time we were on a big case like this, it all went to shit in the end, and he's afraid it'll do the same. Russo goes to see his captain and realizes that the captain's dirty. If you remember last week, they found out that New Age was basically made up of all ex-cops from the same precinct that were all dirty. And of course the boss is dirty somewhat because he took the money, because he knows if these people come for you, you're screwed. You really have no choice but to take the money, and tells Russo, he'd be wise to do the same. He's like, nope. So that's how they found where Reacher and stuff was, because it was Russo and his captain were the only 2 people who knew. This is also where that conversation in the graveyard came, where Reacher was like, people in your house seem to be dirty. They do find Margot. She's gone to stay with a friend, and you find out that she's not in on it. She's basically gone on the run with the daughter because of everything that's going on, and Langston gave her money so her hands wouldn't be clean in it. It tried to kind of implicate that she was a part of everything. So she's giving all the information to Reacher and the team, and we find out that Swan isn't actually the one signing off on getting them killed and stuff. He was in fact the only one who was against everything that New Age is doing. So they're thinking, do they have him? And they're forcing him to sign the documents and all this stuff. And it turns out the chips, the 650 missiles, the chips that are in them, what Swan noticed was that every time they were testing the chips, a few of them were coming up as errors on them. And they would put them down to dev errors and stuff like that, because they're like, half of the chips are fine, half of them aren't. But Swan was suspicious that, is the thing rigged, that it's every now and again choosing workable chips as unworkable. And of course Dixon's like, what, the number of chips happened to be 650. So that's where that is. And what they're going to do is they're going to try and bring Langston to them by getting Margot, whatever her name is, to phone him and say, like, lie to him and say, oh yeah, the Reacher and his team found me and they're pressuring me, and you better come and get me. They're after me. It's like Cartman with Kathleen Kennedy. She's going to get me. She's going to get me. If you've seen that episode. So she makes the call, and they give her daughter to Russo to look after, and he gets chased down. He's not sure though whether it's his boss who sent these people or Langston's people that were sent after him. And he has the phone Reacher, and so the trap set up for getting Langston kind of goes to shit. Reacher sends all of them away bar him. It's him with Langston and 3 other dudes. He takes out the 3 other dudes quite easily, and then it's just him and Langston. He says, like, it's just you and me. The place is surrounded in barbed wire and there's only one way out. And all of a sudden a helicopter shows up and starts shooting at him and picks Langston up, and he escapes, and that's pretty much your episode. There's a lot of other things in there that, of course, were non-spoilers, so we won't get into. There is a funny moment. There's a few funny moments, to be honest, but there's one funny moment in particular when when the team is in that little convenience store. I can't remember whether I said this when Reacher bought the suit, but he dumped his other clothes, and when O'Donnell said to him back in that episode, like, why are you dumping your clothes? And because if I have more than one shirt and one jacket and stuff, I'll need to have a bag, and then the bag leads to having this, and then this leads to this. And so every time he buys clothes, he just dumps the other clothes. So he's standing in the convenience store, and he's just like, and straight away he clocks there's clothes and trousers, shirt, jacket, buys more clothes. But that is the episode. Another good episode. Again, moving the story forward. There's a lot of stuff going on between what you're going to find out with the buyers and these missiles, and what's going on with the people who are involved with it, including Swan. and what his involvement actually is. So another good, strong episode. It's funny, well, the person Margot goes to stay with is her gay friend. There's a great moment with him as well. Well, a couple of funny moments with him when the team get him. But other than that, I will leave it there for that one, because again, I'm not going to spoil any of it. So until next episode, I will leave it there for this one. So like and share and subscribe. I don't know what scribe is. You know what I mean. Anyway, cheers. Catch you in the next one.